All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to tell you the story about sea lamprey control in Lake Huron this last year. I'll also give you a little bit of a preview of our plans for this coming field season. So I'll begin with the fish community objectives, the FCOs, for sea lamprey, which is to reduce sea lamprey abundance to allow the achievement of other fish community objectives. So the recovery and the stability of the Lake Huron fish community critically depends on reducing sea lamprey abundance in order to meet objectives for other Lake Huron fish. In order to meet the FCO for sea lamprey, we have two targets that we aim for. One is to keep the adult sea lamprey index at or below 31,300. And the other is to keep the marking rate at or below 5 marks per 100 large lake trout. The marking target equates to an acceptable annual sea lamprey-induced mortality rate of 5%. So some of you might have questions about how is the adult index calculated. So I'll give you just a basic overview. There are 6 Lake Huron streams that are shown here on the map that are trapped in the spring. Mark recapture population estimates are conducted, and then the sum of these estimates provide the adult index. The index shows the relative abundance of adult sea lamprey in the lake each year. So these annual estimates with confident intervals are plotted here on the time series graph, along with the blue line showing the 3-year moving average of adult sea lamprey abundance over time in Lake Huron. As you can see, 45,000 was a bit above the target of 31,300 this past year. And the target you can see is the black horizontal line. The other metric we have for our report card is the lake trout marking rate. So sea lamprey marking data on large lake trout is collected by multiple fishery agencies during their standardized assessments. This graph has the annual marking rates plotted along with the running 3-year moving average. And similar to the metric for the adult index, the marking rate is a bit above the target of 5 marks with a 3-year mean of 6.3 marks per 100 large lake trout and holding steady. So now I'll talk to you about some highlights of our program areas, beginning with barriers. So there are 2 methods of controlling lampreys in the program: barriers and the application of lampricides. So barriers limit the upstream migration of spawning adults and reduces the treatment area or reduces the stream miles requiring treatment. And they're either purposely built to block sea lampreys or were built for other purposes like hydropower, but are useful in blocking sea lamprey migration. The Commission has invested in 17 barriers on Lake Huron. 13 of these are purpose-built. So there are sensitive issues relating to stream connectivity, and we work collaboratively with our partners in balancing the benefits of connectivity by removing barriers with the cost of invasive species potential. So without barriers, we would not have effective sea lamprey control. There's just not enough time, not enough people, just basically not enough resources to treat all of the streams that would require them. So annual inspections of purpose-built sea lamprey barriers are conducted along with other barriers that were built for other reasons, but block lampreys. Some noteworthy barriers projects this last year include collaboration with the Sioux Tribe to improve the barrier and expand the hatchery at Nuns Creek, and a feasibility study that was conducted to look at options for dam rehabilitation to removal of the Caro Dam on the Cass River, which is a tributary to the Saginaw River. The feasibility study results are currently under review by our project partners. Moving on to the larval assessment program area, the purpose of larval phase surveys is to direct and evaluate control actions. Those control actions are treatments and barriers. So some of the types of surveys that are done include backpack electrofishing surveys and granular balicide surveys, as well as deep water electrofishing surveys. And these types of surveys look for presence or absence of sea lamprey larvae Also the distance of infestation within a stream. Other types of surveys include measuring larval densities and then ranking streams for treatment based on the data. Last year, there were 101 streams and 18 lentic areas of Lake Huron that were surveyed, and no new sea lamprey populations were detected. Controlling the larval population in the St. Mary's River is critical to the sea lamprey control in Lake Huron. Since 2012, around 300 hectares have been treated annually in the St. Mary's River. Monitoring and control of the St. Mary's River larval population continued in 2025, and the 2025 post-treatment population estimate for the whole river was just over 500,000 larvae. The application of lampricides that target sea lamprey larvae in streams and lentic areas continues to be the primary tool of sea lamprey control in Lake Huron. Last year, 19 streams and 4 lentic areas, including 294 hectares of the St. Mary's River, were treated. This coming field season, we have plans to treat 31 streams and 7 lentic areas and 305 hectares of the St. Mary's River. Supplemental controls, otherwise known as subcon, are tactics that supplement the 2 primary sea lamprey control strategies of barriers and lampricide treatments. They do this by reducing reproduction and capturing transformed sea lampreys. The subcon initiative is led by the USGS Hammond Bay Biological Station, and it began in 2020. It's a long-term study to evaluate supplemental controls on 13 streams, 7 of which are in Lake Huron. Some of the supplemental controls include trapping, electrical barriers, and sterile male release. This year, supplemental control will be deployed in the Root River in Ontario. All right, so the environmental assessment team from the DFO and the risk management team from the Fish and Wildlife Service work together to address environmental and non-target issues with the implementation of the Sea Lamprey Control Program in the United States and Canada. So this involves coordination with many federal, provincial, state, tribal, First Nation governments, and other entities. So this year, a multi-year study began to assess the potential impact on migratory fish movements and reproduction around the Echo River barrier. The team consisted of multiple agencies and governments, including Garden River First Nation, Sea Lamprey Control Program, DFO Science, and Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources. This study will continue this coming field season. So as many of you know, the Sea Lamprey Control Program has been around for 7 decades. With changes in technology, the program is looking for ways to adapt and improve. The Commission has a research arm that is constantly searching for new methods to control sea lampreys and improve upon our current methods. One exciting new method being investigated is the use of eDNA to detect larval sea lampreys. We're looking forward to implementing this new survey tool into the program in coming years. Also, subcon is also continuing, and we look forward to using some of the technologies that may come out of that research. I would like to thank Gail Bravner and staff from DFO and Fish and Wildlife Service who contributed to this presentation. And with that, I'll take questions.